Hello and welcome. This is Bearded Busker again. By now you're probably pretty comfortable running this game if you're watching this tutorial. We're going to go from just going through all the rooms quickly to implementing some advanced strategies. I'm going to pause and explain as I go. We're still not going to do any of the out of bounds tricks. If you do want to start incorporating those, I do have a tutorial up called Out of Bounds Tutorials. So first things first, I actually don't know the current optimal death pattern yet. You should follow Tayo Gamer and watch his runs. So you might know you can get a trick shot off there to save a little bit of time. This opening is just going to come down to clean execution, which only comes from repetition so that you can anticipate. Now we're going to do a little bit of finesse in here. What I'm going to do is, as long as this dialogue goes, whatever my inputs were before the dialogue appeared is frozen. So when I press jump in a second, I'm going to keep holding it and Yuri's going to keep rising. I hadn't finished my full 2 tiles yet, and so by finishing out the jump, it means that I don't have to crank left to go back to that ledge. And so he'll be falling at his terminal velocity, but he won't hit the lava, and so you can save a few frames that way. Check this out. He doesn't die. So now we're going to climb up here. Like I said, we're still not doing out of bounds. We want as many teleshots as we can get though. Okay, advanced trick number 1. We're about to use Yuri's rising Y velocity to get a little bit of a boost. You can see that the game wants you to jump back behind him to the left up there and then fire your shot. We can jump to the right instead. As long as you fire a shot while Yuri is still at least a tile away from that wall to the right, but you keep holding jump, Yuri can spawn within 2 tiles of the top of that pillar and actually climb it. Watch this. And so now we just go through the rest of the room. Just have your shots at the ready and keep going. Oop. So this room is pretty self-explanatory. When we double back here, deaths are pretty inconsequential here. Don't worry if you die once or twice, it's like a quarter of a second each time. Alright, so now this room up ahead, I highly recommend touching that checkpoint while you wait for the teleshot to hit, because this next room gets high stakes. We are about to do a chain jump shot. So you know that trick that I just showed you, where we jump into a wall and keep rising? We're about to put a bunch of that back to back to back. I'm going to make a separate tutorial for this trick, but here we execute it to save about 2.5 seconds. It's been a while since I've done this in a run, so I don't even know if I can get it first try. We'll see. Okay, and ideally you would even get a 5th and 6th shot off there so you don't have to land like I did. So if you see my movement patterns, I'm just trying to cover as much ground as possible, shoot as early as possible. So by coming up first then right, we skip a dialogue box that really doesn't matter for in-game time, but if you want to start participating in SRL races, it'll matter. Here again, we're going to use the same principle. I'm going to hold jump and fire, and that lets me climb this pillar. That avoids me having to go to that jail cell all the way in the left. Alright, and we're still not going to go out of bounds here either. So again, you have your pick of the litter. Sorry I'm messing up here. Your pick of the litter for advanced tricks to climb up this room. Here we are just going to come back down the quote-unquote normal way. If you're feeling frisky, you can try to get a teleshot off there before that dialogue spawns. We're just going to keep cranking right. Hold right the game. Alright, this next room has a mix of advanced strategies available to us. I'm just going to keep using the ones that I've showed you. So now we're going to climb up and take this alternate approach. And, you guessed it, another boosted jump. Alright, so now we make a leap of faith. I talked in my beginner tutorial about this one trick shot up ahead, and I'm going to pause just to give one more sort of advanced detail that, to be honest, I don't even use. Instead of firing from this ledge here in the leftmost tile like we did to get that nifty return shot, if I fire from about where Yuri's at now, he can actually jump and get to the top of the screen, so that I don't really know how it works. Oh, you know what? Never mind. That was a totally wrong explanation. The tile to the right of where Yuri is now, if you get there and fire a return shot, you can actually set it up where Yuri can leave the screen without the dialogue box appearing. We're not going to do it for now. I just thought it would be cool to explain. Follow This Is How My Mind Works if you want to see it done right and explained well. So we're on our way. Had I executed well, it's more than reasonable to expect that you're going to get a sub 2-minute time getting to that gun. Alright. So coming up here is another bit of advanced technique. Oops, and I messed it up. Let's reload this room. So we're going to put a bunch of stuff together. We're going to fire this shot to save time. In a second, you saw I cranked back left to get more than a tile away, and then I jumped sort of in a circle, doing the exact same thing I've been talking about to get boosted jump height. This is going to give us enough height to skip having to cross the room one time, and if I do it totally perfectly, I don't even have to land on the brown ledge. Let's see how it goes. So that is actually quite precise. I talked about this trick in the beginner tutorial. There's really nothing to it. And again, there's no choice but to do this well. Now we're going to get to talk about green beam jumps. Oh, and thank you, Tayo, for elaborating. He's exactly right. The game runs for a few frames anytime you pick up an item, and that allows us to set up some pretty creative dialogue skips. Sorry for dying a few times while explaining. Alright, here's the green beam jump. It's worth it to practice because we use it late in the run as well, but in this room more and more top runners are choosing not to use it because you have to get it within the first 4 tries to get a net time save. The reason that we're able to get these boosted jumps and jumps from thin air and whatnot is because the game kind of locks Yuri's Y velocity in place for a few frames after spawning him. For argument's sake, let's say it's 5 frames. So in other words, if he's on the ground when his teleshot spawns, that means the game is still treating him as on the ground even though he's just teleported through a wall, and so for 5 frames you can get a free jump. This also means you can move laterally with a velocity, a Y velocity of 0, and get a free jump. So we're going to fire at this green block, we're going to crank right, and we're going to jump. And if we do it right, we can actually crank around the block and not have to land on the ledge to shoot it. I'll see if I can get it. Got it first try. So you see that's much faster than doing the room the intended way. Alright, and here we have kind of a technical little jump there that saves us some time. I'm just going to show this room done optimally. You have to just fall with faith there and be fast to beat the cycles. Okay, so if we wait to the very left edge of this tile to jump, we don't have to fire 2 shots to clear those blocks. Check this out. We just land on the second one. Now, the game expects you to use the mirror to time your shot here, but we don't have to. It's a little finicky, but it's worth it to practice. Alright, now we're going to learn how to skip this monster guy. I have to do it first and explain later. Whoops, I actually messed up. So those little phalanges on the bottom of the ledge are actually part of the tile beneath, and they're not solid. That's why that shot just kind of disappeared for a second. That's where it was. If you look at the brute who's in mid-shot now, his hitbox is just shy of 2 tiles tall, and Yuri's jump height is 2 tiles. That means we got a very narrow window where we can fire a shot, have it land behind the brute but not on his hitbox so we don't take damage from him. That means we have to jump the instant we hit the wall, and then you can line up a shot to get to safety. Because as you know, getting 4 shots off on this guy is rough. Now I'm about to die on purpose and try to reload the room to see if I can show this being executed well. Alright, we're going to reload. Alright, so now we're going to jump off the very left edge again, and I didn't even get far enough, so I bonked. On this shot, you actually basically have to run Yuri off the edge. You saw how late I jumped? Yeah, and jump right, that saves time. So we're about to do yet another boosted jump here. Check that out, and then we jump up. Now this room I don't yet do optimally. Again, you're going to want to watch This Is How My Mind Works is stuff to see how to do this well. But you see, basically every room from here on out that has advanced tech is just a matter of boosted jumps for Yuri. I forget if I showed the following tricks off in my beginner tutorial, but we're going to do some trick shots here in the Dark Citadel on the drain. We're about to get tile-sized background wall tiles that'll help us line up our shots vertically, so once you've got Yuri at the right height, just fire away and watch what happens. So you're going for that 3rd tile, right? And now the 4th one. And so you get those cool shots. It's lucky I hit that checkpoint. I've been dying a lot here lately and I can't explain why. But so those are some little mini time savers that add a major amount of, capriciousness, that's what I was looking for, to your speedruns. So Yuri can actually sink back down below that platform if you don't do a full jump. I should have fired a teleshot before talking to that dude, but it's not the end of the world. Now, those chain jump shots like I showed way back in the beginning of the run, we're about to have a chance to do one that's 0 risk if you fail, because you catch the same elevator cycle as always. So it's worth it to give that one a shot, even though it's a little bit harder to do. It's always worth it to try in your runs, because if you fail, the worst that happens is you catch the same elevator cycle you were waiting for anyway. So we're going to keep going, and you notice that anytime I can, I do fire a shot. And a lot of times, like on room transitions there, I jump to try and get my shot height ready. Here again, I was using that tile background to line up my shots to save a little time. Just be warned, some of these elevators are a little bit glitchy, and sometimes you can spawn on top of it, but it activates the hitbox and kills you anyway. Alright, so you notice I just cranked through that room and I was able to beat that cycle. Alright, now we're going to death warp. Having another runner while I do this is immensely helpful. Thank you, Tayo. So, that didn't look like much, but you have to haul behind in this room to make that cycle. Now you notice it's a green beam under that elevator. Technically speaking, you can try a green beam jump here, and for a while when I couldn't make this cycle, I would actually do that and occasionally get lucky. The problem is that elevator has teeth. So if you jump a little bit early, you're going to bonk your head on teeth and you die and reset back to null field. And if you jump late, you just miss the cycle. So here we can use that same principle, but that's a micro time saver. I would not recommend working too hard at that one. Alright, so we only have one heart still in the intermediate route, so I have to jump over that bat. Lately I've been just running through him in my 2 heart runs. Alright, so let's talk about this trick a little bit. I'm actually going to go back and do it again, even though this is still technically a speed run. Unfortunately, these bats are about to make my life miserable. Let's see if I can take them out. Oh, guys. Okay, so we're going to drop a couple tiles and shoot. The water is going to break his fall there, but if you get low enough, he will touch the ground, so you can jump to save that time there. Notice that I only fired the first 3 shots at the brute. After I jump, I fire the 4th. Alright, so we're going to jump a little there just to save time here. This is actually about to be an application of the green beam jump, but you don't have to get it perfectly to benefit from it. Even if you press the jump button early and bonk your head on the tile, you're still going to get enough lateral clearance to clear that lava. So the intended path has us cranking back left. You can see those brown tiles there that you land on, and then you go up above the jail cell. We don't want to wait to do that, so we do this. Jump. And you saw he got just a little bit of extra clearance from that. Alright. So now, you guys have graduated from beginner to intermediate, so we're going to use the ledges instead of the back walls. It just means you have to take care, well, not to die to the ghost like I just did, but you have to crank back and make sure to land on the ledge so that Yuri is on a ground state before those shots. Takes a little practice, but you'll be fine. Next, we are going to land on this block, and we're going to fire 1, 2, 3. Now the 4th goes here. We teleport first. And the reason that works is that even though the brute's jaw extends over to a 3rd tile, his hitbox doesn't. So it looks like you're going to crash into his jaw and get killed, but you won't. Just make sure not to hold right as you respawn. So here's our last and hardest green beam jump. This one is worth it to practice because you still save time even if it takes you like 9 tries. So I'm failing, and this isn't like on purpose for demo or anything, I was just failing. This run will probably come in around 8:30, 8:40, but on this route sub 7:30 is more than possible. So we just gotta crank in, kill this guy, and he's gone. Now, this trick is a pretty major trick, kind of a big milestone in terms of the, oh, now I can go for sub 8 times. In the room to the left is the 3rd alien guard, and you normally have to do a little bit of backtracking, but we're going to do some 4th dimensional thinking here. And I'm going to take the extra time to spell this trick out. Basically, Yuri can hit here, right? And you notice that we're within 2 tiles of that gate. If only Yuri was able to jump after this shot appears, but you notice he's not even close to landing on the ground to make that possible. So we're going to fire a shot down here, so well timed that at the exact moment this shot's in the air, Yuri's going to appear on the ground for just a moment to get a jump off. So we get down to about here, we fire a shot, then immediately haul behind up here, and jump, and you notice that happens kind of quick. Don't worry too much about the visual cues, just worry about the rhythm. So we're going to go down, shoot, jump, and ta-da. That one takes some doing. I might make a separate tutorial for it. At this point, the run is going to look very similar to what you saw in my beginning tutorial, so if at this point you want to cop out, I do not blame you. Oh, and yes, I forgot to mention Tayo is making the green beam jump tutorial, which takes a load of work off for me because I actually don't understand that one very well. I forget how I handled this boss in the beginner tutorial. I think I may have deliberately failed a cycle to show you how to recover, but as you see, if you can get 3 shots off rhythmically like this, you never have to worry about his attacks because he's just spoken for. So we're going to make use of some extra teleports here. So I'm going to fire one right about here so that just as he collects the light orb, he respawns. It just looks cool. Now we're going to climb this. Keep going, and at this point, you know what to do. It's just a matter of mashing well. Oops, I was pressing the wrong button there. It's a running joke in our community that I'm by far the worst at some of the easy tricks in this run and by far the slowest masher, at least of the people in the top 5. So, there you have it. I took a little longer to explain some things. This video is probably about 15 minutes long. That run was 9 minutes long, but again, I did wait and redo some things on purpose. Just using the strategies in this tutorial, you should be able to come in beneath 7 minutes 30 seconds. Which is more than enough to be competitive in races, even against people who use the advanced out of bounds. Crazy things happen in races. If you get consistent at these strategies, you can have a lot of fun, both just competing against yourself and competing against us in the community, and we can all push each other to grow. That's one of the best things about running short, fun, accessible games like this. Good luck and have fun.